Let me just apologize from now. Most of this interview is going to be spent looking away from camera because reptiles are not our thing. Lizards is one thing. This frog is just creepy. The potentially harmful Cuban tree frog has been popping up everywhere, from Clarendon to Westmoreland to St. E, Manchester, St. Catherine, even on the window ledges of people's homes, apparently. Joining us now to talk about what the presence of this species could mean for our local ecosystem, environmental officer with the National Environment and Planning Agency, Damani Calder. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Damani.
I wish we were talking about something like, I don't know, plant conservation, but apparently that's not our lot this morning. And you are here to talk about the situation because is it getting worse? Are they breeding up? Is that the situation?
Well, we're at a point where it's almost as if the horse has left the barn, if you'd say.
Pardon me?
Yes, they're all over, and we need the public's help to try as best to stem the spread, especially into our natural areas.
Yeah. And the reason for that is because in other countries, they've gotten into the infrastructure. They're clogging, drains, and what is it? What's the issue? Why is it this frog a problem?
Okay, so there are two angles to this. The one that NEPA is mainly concerned with is that of a biodiversity angle. So alien invasive species in general are species, either plants or animals, that have been introduced into an area that's not their natural habitat, and they then present a negative effect. So you could have a species that goes somewhere and just falls in line with what exists there, and it's not, being negative. And then you have another thing like, the lionfish or the mongoose, where there's no natural predator, there's no natural balance, and then it throws everything out. So this frog in Florida, where it was introduced because its natural range is Cuba, Cayman, and Bahamas. In Florida and in other places, where you see the Cuban tree frog, you don't see any, or you see very little of the native frogs and other species, because frogs in general tend to just try and fit anything they can in their mouth. So in Florida, there are actually photos of this frog eating native frogs. So what we don't want is for this frog to now start impacting our native species here.
Damn.
Him.
I'm trying to so
Okay, right now.
Damani.
But outside of that,
so apart from the impact on the environment, what about on humans?
Okay, so that's from a nuisance standpoint.
Just a nuisance standpoint.
Yes, and to some degrees, an infrastructural standpoint. There have been incidents in other places where the frogs, because in the day, like that photo right there, they hide in pipes and small spaces because frogs have a semi-permeable skin, so they have to keep moist or they'll dry out. So in the days, they'll hide in little nooks and crannies and they'll congregate. And sometimes it's in like a breaker box or something, and they might short it out. But other than that, they'll go in drains. Sometimes they come up toilets. They'll go in pipes, that type of thing, and they'll come into your home. And for persons who are not fond of frogs, or,
there are people who are fond of frogs, Damani.
Yes, many people are fond of frogs.
How big are these frogs? Let me do.
A large female is about the size of your palm, and then the males are smaller. But one of the ways to identify them without a doubt is you'll see them on, I'm sure none of you are used to frogs on your wall.
I'm sorry, what do you mean on the wall?
So it's a tree frog, and they have these large sticky toe pads, and they will be on your wall or on your trees or on
Wait,
your
you
window.
like you mean like they climb the tree?
Like it's a Spider-Man frog?
Like a croaking lizard.
It's like a Spider-Man frog?
So it's like a croaking
Yes,
lizard
like,
with enough frog's body.
It's a Spider-Man
so the
frog.
thing is, we're not trying to create a fear of frogs because
Oh,
Jamaica actually
true?
has, right, because Jamaica actually has its own endemic species of frogs. We have 21 endemic species.
Yeah, but
4 of those happen to be tree frogs, but most persons aren't familiar with them because they prefer forest. And bromeliads, right? Wild pine. They breed in the wild pine.
So you see, our frogs know their place. They know how to stay where they need to stay.
Well,
The
you could
Cuban
look at
one
it-
seem to be a little...
is that traveling
Well, you could
fast?
look at it the other way. You could look at it that our frogs are a bit fragile and haven't adapted to habitat destruction.
Oh.
Right. So,
Okay.
whereas the Cuban tree frog does very well in urban spaces.
That is a problem. It's a problem. So as a result, they've reportedly caused power outages by short-circuiting utility switches. This is messing up walls, blocking drains. The case I just mentioned is in Florida. Apparently, they can also have impact on humans because of the mucus that they secrete as a defense mechanism, which can irritate your eyes, your skin, your nose. And there have also been reports of the secretions triggering asthma attacks.
Right. So what you mentioned a while ago is basically if you touch a frog, wash your hands. It's not as severe as most people think, in the sense that they have secretions in the skin that act as a deterrent to be eaten. So in most cases, if an animal tries to eat one, well, most animals, because they're animals that, don't mind, but they're supposed to taste bad, so they spit them out. So it's like a mild irritant. But if you were to touch it with your hand, you won't necessarily, there won't be anything of it. But if you touch your eyes, nose, mouth, and as a general rule, when you touch animals, you don't touch your face or your eyes, nose, mouth. But there are persons who are sensitive to the secretion. So if they were to get it on the softer skin, back of the hand or anywhere else, they do have a reaction. But that's a common thing just in the animal world. So it's a small percentage of persons.
Okay, I'm in no danger of that because I'm not going to be near them. The man, we're getting to wrap up, and I really, really wanted to ask, what is this about the fridge? Why I must put them in a bag and put them in my fridge?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want to finish without touching on this. But so we've been asking the public to help control the spread, and one of the main things you can do is control the breeding sites. I get into the fridge, I'm going to be very quick. Mm-hmm. You can control the breeding sites, and they breed in still water just like mosquitoes. So everyone should be taking care of their surroundings for mosquitoes, right? So clogged drains, old tire, old fridge, unsecured drum, all those things. Mm-hmm. The frogs will utilize those same spaces. Okay. So we recommend or encourage persons to try and reduce any, areas where water can congregate.
Right.
That's for the breeding sites. In terms of the adults, there is I don't know if you guys will check it out, but I urge the viewers to. There's a YouTube discussion that we had 2 weeks ago. Myself, Damian White, Howard, and Dr. Johnson from Florida, who has been working with the Cuban tree frogs for about 20 years. And in Florida, they encourage persons to use bags and then put them in the fridge to humanely euthanize them. So that came up in the discussion. We went on to speak about, cultural differences and how that might be a hard sell here. And then we explored other ways to humanely euthanize the frogs. But then that bite went far.
Viral.
Yes.
But it's really about not using harsh chemicals or doing anything that's going to cause the animal to suffer. So hot water is not a quick death. So we just want to encourage, humane use and disposal.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot
if
of it
you
is
want-
fear too, the money. Like, people are so afraid, like, oh my God, what do I do to get rid of this frog? And then they just, so I think
Well,
if they have other
it's-
ways,
I used to, it's fair, but it's also a cultural thing that we need to get away from. People take pride in describing how they kill things. I don't know, or yes, it's true. So,
But fling the hot water up on the croak in the sea and just go.
you want to see how we deal with the lizard, chop him up fine, and we bust him up. And we have this very
aggression,
aggression. And it's I mean, if you're it
carries
permeates
over.
through other things, right?
It carries over.
So even when we're trying to, eliminate something or reduce something, or even if it's the food you eat, you really shouldn't be taking pride in how you're going to kill a chicken or a pig.
Right.
And we ask that of other things. So, I mean, you don't like the roach, but we're trying to steer you away from taking joy and pride in murderation, So that's what we're asking the public. But if
I feel attacked.
Oh,
we have to go. On that note, we have to go.
Well, the last thing I want to mention is you can get more information from NEPA's public education. So check us out on our social media. And you can contact us and we always respond. And if you want more information, we can email you some more.
All right, guys, you saw the information there on screen. We got to go and leave the money and mull over how we're going to get rid of roaches. Listen, I'm still environmental officer at the National Environment and Planning Agency, Damani Calder. Up next, we celebrate the late reggae icon Dennis Brown's birthday in today's Fun Stop. It's Tony and Sing's birthday as well.
Oh, happy birthday, Queen.
Miss World.